Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Beyer. And Dave, what a skating weekend it has been.
What a skating weekend it has been. This is the skating lesson. We are going to discuss all things that were happening over the skating world this weekend in Boston, Massachusetts, in Japan, and Lake Placid via Boston, which made no sense, but let's just go with it. So if you are new here, please subscribe below and smash that like button. Jonathan, lots to break down.
I know. Do you want to start domestically, or would you like to start internationally with our location?
What do you want to know most? Like, what do you want to know?
Okay, so for our viewers that don't know, Dave attended live. You attended a live skating event. This is huge. I haven't done that in forever. So why don't we start with Cranberry?
Okay.
Just saying.
Yeah. I did.
Because again, we know it's so different to see these things streaming. Especially this, the streaming feed for Cranberry for me was constantly skipping and shorting out. Oftentimes, right when a jumping pass would happen, they'd like lead up, and you'd be like, "What's going to happen?" And then it would freeze, and then it cuts to like a spin later. Yeah.
Shame, because I was asked by certain people, where's Jonathan? I thought he was coming. And I was like, it's about commitment. I don't.
It seemed haphazard and last minute. I should have gone. Like seeing this lineup, I should have gone. Yeah.
I was in the second row. It was like they were skating right for me.
Amazing.
It was at the Henley Albright Performance Center. Oh, yes.
I saw someone posing in front of a Paul Wiley photo at some point, if I do recall correctly.
And a Nancy Kerrigan photo and a Jenny.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Okay.
Oh, okay. Nancy, life size, doing her Ina Bauer. Yes.
Okay.
I think Albright herself was there, flower in the hair, like Nina Simone, as we know and love her.
Basically twins. Yeah. Basically. No. But Tenley is like the ultimate in class.
Yes.
Ultimate. Yeah.
Tenley.
Yeah.
World champion. As Frank Carroll.
You touched her. Yeah.
I always think, I drove past Worcester on the way up, and I remember that because someone said, why isn't Frank Carroll on the wall? And I said, oh no, we all heard that interview. He was in the skating club of Worcester and wasn't
very different. Yeah.
And told him, oh no, the skating club of Worcester has been very good to you. So yes, when he was
it all worked out in the end, didn't it? Yeah.
It did, yes. And I did meet a certain Olympic coach, Jonathan.
Okay, here's what's so funny. I was watching the Tarasova Morozov program.
Yes.
And I was watching with Josh, who's new to skating, but totally into it. And he goes, Jonathan, stop. Eteri's there. And I was like, Eteri's not there. She's not going to fly to Boston for this. She's not there. And he was like, I promise she's there. And I got elitist. I was like, you don't know about skating. It's not Eteri. You probably just saw some woman with big hair or something. And then it was sure enough, we just rewound. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's Eteri. She did fly all this way for this event. And then seconds later, bam, Dave Eteri all over social media. Yeah. I sat next to her at the pool in Las Vegas, but I did not attempt to make a connection.
So do you remember when Tanya hugged Nancy and was asked about it in Lillehammer? And she was like, it was a private moment. Yeah. So I saw her, and her manservant was there. Pavel.
Yeah, I was unsure who that was. Yeah.
And it was so skilled because my friend had seen Eteri walk in, and she adjusted the hair and then walked in. And she had her coat on. And the new $70 million skating club of Boston is you do not need a jacket on the inside.
Okay.
The day, I brought, I planned my outfits as though I were going to a skating rink. No.
Yeah.
Like a fancy Jonathan Beyer opera venue.
It looked beautiful. It looked like a really nice venue. Yeah.
Oh, the lounges. I don't even know what you would do in the lounge. It's fantastic. All right.
Just lounge. Yeah.
My God. Okay. So.
Okay.
I think Eteri was seeing, what her life could be like. I mean, think about it. This woman has those little chihuahuas running around like rats. I mean, are there litter boxes? Where are they shitting in that rink in Sambo 70? There are constantly like those little rat dogs going.
Yeah.
Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Wait, I think
Yipping for her attention.
Oh,
Yeah.
Get a cat.
Yeah, same.
Get a cat. Okay. I'm not.
Just saying. Yeah. And they're always aggressive and weird and shake and stuff. I mean,
Taco Bell. I don't know. I don't know about you. I've never had a good experience at Taco Bell. You know, it's
yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
saying.
Or I'm not in a good way if I am experiencing Taco Bell. Yeah.
You know. Anyway, moving along before I say something truly off color.
Correct.
Right. So, you know, I see her manservant, Mr. Not Trankov, right?
Okay. Right.
And I'm like, you know, you have one moment, you know, because these Russians are judgmental people, right?
You gotta make your entry when you can. Yeah.
Listen, we know them at the Ice House. We know them at Montclair. They are a rare breed, right? So I go over and I prepare myself mentally, and I'm like,
Emotionally.
can we take a picture with you? And Eteri goes, and he kind of like walks back, and he saw me and recognized, right? And he like walked, and she's like, with me? And I was like, well, you are Eteri.
No, Eteri, with the random lady behind you. Come on.
Yeah. So we go to take the picture, and like, you know, my friend's taking it. And I just turned to her and I go, and I could tell like she's recognized, you know.
She gets it. She knows. Okay.
We understand each other.
Okay.
And, you know, you only have one moment. And I just go, we've got to get Kostanaya to the Olympics. And like,
to which she replied?
Seeing that she recognizes the humor that I've mentioned, the biggest little diva bitch of them all. And she goes, it was perfection, John. It was exactly
Amazing.
what you would want. Okay. So of course.
Is this her texting now?
No, I'm gonna let you know what my interaction with Galina about this situation, right? First, you know that Galina likes to pretend that she's too important to keep up with skating, right?
Of course. Except they never are.
She talks to her best friend, Yelena Tchaikovskaya, on the phone, right? So I get a text from her Saturday, 2:48 p.m. I know there is a Russian couple skating at the competitions. What do they say about their skating? They said they look ready to win. Tutberidze is pretending to coach pairs now. She came all the way to America to be friendly with the judges. And Galina goes, this friendship is important to both countries, mutually beneficial. And then I wrote, do you send Jan Hoffman a nice present for breaking that tie? He deserves a Joe Malone candle. No response.
Amazing. Good for both countries. Yeah.
Well, you don't say.
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Because when we were taking off our skates, my friend Josh goes to Victor and he's like, how about that Romanian judge that gave you that 5.96 in 1994? And he goes, she gave me the marks I deserved. I was like,
amazing. And he meant it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I sent the picture of Eteri to Galina. And I said, I don't think Eteri was much scarier than Nina. And she goes, I will forward this to Nina. She'll be very happy about that. Yes. And you told Eteri who you are and what you write about her athletes? And I said, I think Nina is more beautiful. And I said, I'm sure what Eteri says to her athletes is 10 times worse than anything I have ever said about them. And she writes back, she is not a mom who strokes on the head, but a mom who lifts on a pedestal. And I said, are you talking about Galina or Eteri? There is not much of a difference.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
It's true.
Just saying.
She was just like any old broad in Hackensack, you know? Really. So yes, that was there. She came all the way for that one pair couple, for that girl to, could you imagine being Evgenia Tarasova? Eteri flies all the way to Boston.
And you botched the jump in the short program?
In August. She could be on the Black Sea. She could be in Miami, where she likes to be. No, she is here in Norwood, Massachusetts, pretending to give an F about pair skating. and you have the nerve to fall on your side-by-side triple jump in the short program in her debut as a pair coach. I mean, could you imagine? All right.
But you know what? But for her to have landed both in the free,
incredible.
I mean, that was a lifetime achievement for this pair. Yeah.
The free was a statement. Skating to
Yeah.
Aliona's music from 2017. I wouldn't say that they have connection with each other, or any feeling to the music, but when watching them, you thought they might win the Olympics.
So this is what I was going to ask you. So now, obviously, this was a primarily American field, and so I watched Jessica and Brian. Then I watched Alexa and Chris. This is in the short. And then on come Tarasova Morozov. And when Tarasova Morozov stepped on the ice, you're like, geez, Louise, this is like unfair. They need to be in a different, every move was 10 times better. I know she botched the side-by-side, but the kind of like lifts they had compared to everyone else. And I don't think it's a knock to someone like Alexa and Brandon or Brian and Jessica, but when you just see the height and the distance and the presence and the positioning, you're just like, this team just gets it. And it's dangerous. If they can ever figure out this jump situation, which they might be, we could really see them in a surprising position. Although not surprising to people that know the talent, but I think, man, just seeing them side by side here, you really realized how high their quality is.
The one thing that I got from Eteri's presence with them, being there with them, is obviously I don't think she's some guru on.
But I don't think their issue was ever technical.
I feel that she sits there and she's going to be like, you will cut the bullshit. You will cut the bullshit now. They did. In the free program, it was incredible.
In a way, she's a sports psychologist for them. In a way.
They have
because
Rod and Eteri.
Yeah. I mean, I could, because we watched.
Her face doesn't even have to move, Jonathan.
Well, it can't.
Feel her energy.
Yeah.
And when she was, they were spectacular in the free. And the thing is that I know that we're entering a situation where we're coming off of COVID. We're coming off of a world championships that were canceled in 2020. There were the COVID worlds this year. A lot of people were not at their best or who weren't there. And obviously the sentimental favorites going into these Olympic Games are Sui and Han. The Olympics supposed to be in Beijing, obviously Cup of China canceled today. We will discuss, what is happening, but Sui and Han, sentimental favorites, the skating world loves them, wanting them to win in a similar way to Papadakis and Cizeron. And in a way, I'm already nervous for both teams. And I think for a while, I think the writing is on the wall for especially even Sui and Han more so than the dance team. And the dance team has had a lot of problems. It seems, they had problems picking music. It seems like with Gabby and COVID and Gabby and concussions and Gabby and mental health, they just have they've had a tough 2 years, right? Coming in after being both teams at their peak at the 2019 World Championships, the year after the Olympics, which both teams wanted to win. And they're both kind of in that Michelle Kwan situation where they're 4 years later, Brian Orser situation, let's turn silver into gold. And it's challenging, right? Because you want both teams. And I think in the minds of fans, we're viewing them as how we see them in 2019, expecting them to perform like that there. But I think when you go element to element, who has the stronger lifts? Tarasova Morozov or Sui and Han? Tarasova Morozov. Tarasova Morozov doing a throw triple Lutz, which they didn't do last season. In the second half of the season, they had pulled it out. Putting it back in, it was done very well here. So when
for someone who struggles on her side-by-sides, that girl knows how to land a throw.
The other thing I'll say is that, and I'm on the fin that I think that Sui and Han are magical, right? But I'll also that they've been in the same program for 3 years, right? Like we have seen it. So they have the pressure of having a new program and that it has to be spectacular. It has got to be life-changing.
But don't you think it will be?
Lori Nicholas had 3 years to come up with an idea.
Yeah, that's why I think like,
And
again,
I think that, but what do I think is working against them is their health. And that's the problem, because we haven't seen them regularly in competitions. And as you know, an Olympic season is all about momentum.
Yeah. And even in their finest health, we know that for her, the jumps have been a struggle. Yeah.
Jumps have been a struggle. So think about it. Tarasova Morozov showing up with one mistake over 2 programs in August. Granted, it's very early, but for them, they need to prove, I think, to the judges and to everyone else that they are a consistent class of the field team. So now we've seen them do it in August. Should they do it in September, in October at Skate America, and going through? And if they can be the reliable team, they can get the job done, right? And I think that their marks will continue to climb whether or not they have the connection. Sui and Han, I was reading that, she might have another injury, or who knows? We don't know, because we don't hear a lot of information out of China. We don't see them very often. So you start to see that we see this team in front of us and they're very, very good. I just worry with Sui and Han, what are we going to see when you go back? The other Russian teams, that's a whole other story, right?
I was just going to say, yeah.
Spectacular, right? From Tamara Moskvina being as strong as she ever has. But I think we're seeing this team. Yes, you could say that they were Russia number 3. You can also say that they were the national champions in Russia this season. So, right? So,
well, because Galyamov made like a huge error that then they rebounded from every time since. But yes, I mean, it could be a Russian sweep in the Paris also.
It could absolutely be a Russian sweep. And it could really be, I think it would be Galyamov or Tarasova Morozov, but I think anything is possible between the 3 pairs, and we'll have to see. I just thought for this team right now showing up, not my favorite pair because I go for the connection, I go for the musicality, but in terms of their skating skills, the transitions, everything they did was class. Yeah. And that's going to be really difficult for the other teams. Yeah. I don't understand why her dress changes in the short program for the Claire de Lune and why it's yellow instead of white and blue, yellow and blue. It was a very cool
maybe just change his costume for the free.
It was the gimmick of the season, right? We're going to see it probably several more times, probably 5 Eteri novice, advanced novice, junior skaters going to do the exact same thing. But Trusova, of course, doesn't like to be left out. Maybe her hair. They were good. What do you think of Jessica Calalang and Brian Johnson?
Well, they had the unfortunate experience of having to be next to Tarasova Morozov. Like, if they weren't there, this would have been such a moment, I think, for Alysa and Brandon in some ways. But of course, difficult when they're compared to then this other team. I thought Alysa and Brandon did very well. Alysa does, even though she had the small error on the jump in the free, I think it was the side-by-side sows. I'm not remembering at the moment. But overall, I just get a different sense in her jumping. Like, there's a different sense of centeredness going into it. Like, yeah, it wasn't flawless, but it wasn't the kind of error we had seen in the past. The materials for both teams, it's very North American.
Yeah. Well, I think, just starting with Alysa and Brandon, I have to say that I really think that she has been for the last several months and how they were training before this and seeing a little bit of that and seeing them in practice. She looks to be the most confident of her career. And I think that there's a couple of factors here. I think that towards the end of her partnership with Chris, if you look at after she was sick, they got back to Worlds. For continents, they did pretty well. They went to Worlds. His father passes away. Then they have the Olympic season, that pressure, then after his injury and then his burnout. I don't think that we ever saw her confident in herself and 100% confident that her partner was also going to do.
And again, I've
struggles with her own struggles with jumps and his struggles with jumps. And I don't think we ever saw her really confident. She gets with Brandon last season, new team. This season, they look just more confident in each other. Right. And there were little things like he's adjusting the timing of his toe, and you could see it in practice that he missed some because he's trying to match her on the takeoff. Last year, they took off different times. It wasn't even attempted to really match in the same way like they are now. And you could see, the 3 jump combo, he kind of botches it. They're still working that out. It's not perfect, but I thought overall, I liked it. I really liked their show program. I know a lot of people don't like the music, and it's so funny that the same people that were mad that I had posted a video of Gracie Gold, I literally went to the practice, I filmed everyone. And I'm gonna say one thing about the Gracie Gold video that I posted. Yes, she fell hard on the Lutz, and she also got up, did a double axel, and went for the triple loop, was fine. And I thought that was how she practiced. So I posted the video. It wasn't to shame her, it wasn't to set, it was like, one, she took a hard fall, got up like an athlete, did the rest of her practice.
Which is more interesting, actually, knowing her track record. The story is not that she fell. The story is that, in the words of USFS, she got up.
She literally got up. She took a hard fall, got up, and did the rest of the program, right? So, and then people are like, oh my God, it's a lot. And I mean, I saw a couple of comments, and people would come up to me in the arena being like, people were really upset about the Grace. And I was like,
oh, I mean, every week someone's upset about something. So yeah, add it to the list.
For her, look, she did the rest of the practice. She was jumping and fine. And,
if you're there because you want to be considered for the Olympic team, you might know that your practice gets posted. It's public session. Yeah.
By the way, I thought she looked better in practice than some of the other skaters who may have finished ahead of her, and for different reasons, right? Like, I thought she at least looked like a fighter. There were other people that I thought that their Olympic bid was over, and we'll get to them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, she was at least fighting, and I didn't think that there were some others that looked like they looked resigned already to this not happening. So
it's gonna be a big conversation today, I think, because I felt like there was now we're coming right off of the Summer Olympics, like literally. So I think it's fresh on the brain, but this seemed so Olympic preview-y in some, I know it's way too early. It's way too early, but
it's not too early because it's all about confidence. It's all about momentum. Look at Jordan Childs making the Olympics, all about momentum, right? She came from nowhere, right, to do this. I thought for Alysa and Brandon, they looked really confident. What I liked about the short program, and not everyone likes Heartbreak Hotel, I personally think Coldplay boring as can be in a Shibutani like free dance way from 2018, which is
it didn't work for me.
But they like it. But I think the short shows you it's feisty Alysa. She had on this gorgeous black dress, Lisa McKinnon.
They looked great. Yeah.
Fantastic. She had her hair, the mood, they look strong. And she, when she gets nervous and feisty before competition, like she was like, she saw me and Lynn Rutherford watching practice, and she flashed us one of those like fake smiles that was also aggressive and also like, like in the practice, I was like, okay, she is ready to go. She is like a tiger, like ready to get out here and do this. And I was like, okay, the girl has a lot of character, right?
Yeah.
And you're watching her, but both of them looked very, very solid. And it was funny in the short, it almost looked like the first two elements went better than they expected. And then they just tensed up slightly before the throw coming in. But that's just an early season mistake. And I think they look confident.
Yeah.
But in the arena, because Alysa and Brandon made a mistake on the throw, the debate was whether or not Jessica and Brian actually deserved to be better. Now, I didn't love this program when we first saw it at Glacier. In person, the music from the Benoit Rock worked better. It was American crowd, obviously, there. They skated very well. Everyone was excited to see them shoot, landed the side-by-side jumps, which is their bugbear.
Yeah.
And they did it, right? And it was very, very effective. And in that moment, they looked like the number 2 team in the country, right? Or the number, 1 team in the country in terms of, as they're skating.
To me, they were scored close enough.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
His moved a bit in his pivot on Death Spiral. There was some debate about that. So, yeah, they looked very, very strong. The free, they switched back, which I think was a smart decision because we had just talked about how that music was too repetitive. And then they came and they went back to last year's program. Probably a smart move.
Unfortunately, she just botched both in a big way.
No, it was they missed their side-by-sides in the practice on Friday. And then she was running side-by-side jumps back and forth on the ice and hitting every single one. It was really interesting because they missed them, and she's known for missing. And the people that are at practices at one of these events, I mean, these are diehard people. These are people
Right.
if they're getting paid to cover skating or not, they are into
Super,
it. People that are
super
watching
fans.
practice are right. And people are saying, oh, just those side-by-side jumps with them, because their pair elements are so spectacular. They probably do have the best lifts. They are better than Tarasova and Morozov lifts. I mean, they just are that.
You found that?
They look stunning in person.
Okay.
He's built like an ox, all right?
Yeah.
I mean, and Brandon is too, but Jessica and Brian have more mileage, and they've been together longer. In that moment, they have great lifts. And she has gorgeous positions, and they have gorgeous costumes, and they just, Terry's teams don't have the gorgeous costumes in the same way.
They sure don't. Yeah.
I don't know why, Vova Poutine is not calling Matthew Corone or Lisa McKinnon, because they can afford it. All right. I don't understand.
When even Morozov's look, I don't know what they're doing.
You're gonna skate to grab music in gray.
And he's handsome. But something about
He's
the hair
stunning.
and the way it is.
He's handsome. She's stunning. It's like
they could package it better. Yeah.
I mean, what's happening here? What's going
What's
on?
that all about? What's that all about?
Yeah. So I don't know. I very much enjoy that. But yeah.
I feel like this is I was trying to figure out how to say this beforehand, and I don't know how to say it, but so I'm going to tread lightly. It is unfortunate that Ashley Kane has COVID, and I hope that she's healing well. This would have been a tricky competition for all three of those teams to have been at.
Yeah.
I think Jessica and Brian could have really upset the momentum of an Ashley and Tim.
I think that their short program did upset the momentum.
Yes.
I think that the free
just as much in the question mark.
Reiterated the questions that we have about them.
Yeah.
So in one sense, I feel like the question mark about the 6 months that we didn't see Jessica and Brian, I feel like that's gone, right? Because we're going to see them at one Grand Prix. Most likely they're going to get Skate America. Okay, let's
Right.
They're going to get Skate America.
Yeah.
It's probably was decided before this. The rumor there was that Yara was going to get Skate America already before Jimmy Ma even had skated, that it was decided already. So I would think in that moment, we'll see them at Skate America. We will see Ashley them at 2, but 2 Grand Prix versus 1 in a season where we don't have that many versus, I think by nationals, considering that these US pairs are not going to medal at these Grand Prix events, most likely,
Right.
doesn't really matter, right? It's going to be
Right.
who shows up. And Ashley Kane having COVID is tough. I had COVID. I wasn't hospitalized for COVID. I'm also not an elite athlete who may recover quicker or slower, depending, to your athletic ability. It takes a couple of weeks to get back. So Ashley and Tim were actually ready super early. So they do have that bank. There were people that were saying that they were ready too early. But this kind of prevents that, right where they are now. Knowing that they both want it very, very badly, Ashley and Tim, it kind of evens it out with them and Jessica. Whether because it's going to take some time to get back from COVID. Your stamina, you just don't feel the same way when you're back performing athletically for a couple of weeks, even after your quarantine and everything like that. So we wish her well and get back. And obviously by January, it will be a thing of the past, right? Most likely, hope right. But in terms of body of work and that argument and what the season, I think it's kind of a wash. What they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So, and you never know. Jessica and Brian, maybe they could, be awarded a second event, when people withdraw or things happen. I mean, this is such a fluid situation, such a fluid season. I think we're going to see a lot of people withdraw from competitions if someone gets COVID.
Competitions being canceled. Yeah.
Canceled, who can't go to a junior Grand Prix. I mean, it's just going to be a very fluid season. That's why I was really confused why we didn't see Canadian pairs or more Canadian. They sent Maddie Sheezes here. Why didn't we see others from Canada? Roman Sadovsky, Keegan, Nam. We saw videos of them everywhere elsewhere, but you could get points here for the senior B. And it's not.
And it was a guaranteed competition as things moving forward seem less guaranteed.
Yeah, I was just confused why Maddie was the only one that skate.
And I thought it was really important for Maddie to have been here.
Yeah, it's a great experience. It was a very intense competition. I have to say the intensity on the practice and of the competition when you're seeing Amber Glenn, Gracie Gold, Audrey Shin, Alysa Liu, Finley Hawk all together.
Mariah Bell, yeah.
She wasn't on the same,
I see. Yeah.
But it was an intense competition, especially in the short program. Mariah was obviously on the free, but it was an intense group, and it just felt strange that they didn't send people here.
Yeah.
You could have sent KMT, Eric and Vanessa. Eric's in Spain this week right after they competed, and what is happening? But I think we're going to see them again on a vacation. But you could have seen Deanna. You could have seen, Darian. They were
at a time when opportunities are slim. This would have been one to take advantage of.
The ladies for 5 hours watching some of them. I don't know why. And it's such a shame, but people, the diehard skating fans always say the ladies is like not as good as the men in the pairs when you watch a competition in person. And I have to say, watching this competition, the men in the pairs were really the highlight of watching the people who really rose to the occasion. It's just more exciting in person to watch it like that. And for whatever reason. But other pairs, what'd you make of your boy Danny? I texted Galit and I said, Galit, Aliona, Danny, find a Jewish relative, Israel 2026. Let's get the citizenship. It takes too long. I don't think if Aliona became American now, she could get citizenship.
Right.
Let's go to Jerusalem. Let's get it done. Like, come on. I don't think Aliona would care to step on the ice and snatch Danny from Chelsea Liu. I don't think she would care. Benoit was there at the competition. I said hello to Benoit. It was all entertainment, you just
I was gonna say, how was that hello received?
He said hi to me. I mean,
great.
He claimed that he had never heard that James Blake piece of music before about being alone now. It was just
interesting. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, like it's sort of like
I want to know, is Benoit, so the USFS has him doing the National Development Camp, and he's working with people and doing all of these clinics. Is this pure marketing bullshit where because he has a very high-powered agent that he's getting all this work? Or is this kind of the thing, like the fake it till you make it in choreography where like he's doing the camp? Why wouldn't you pay Lori Nickel to do it? I mean, Benoit is Benoit's level, right? We're pretending he's Sandra Bezic now? Like, what are we doing, right? Like, right? Like,
right.
And does he have political pull? Do we think like, oh, he knows all the smaller federations?
I think he's looking for gigs. Don't you?
At his camp, Sergei Razanov was talking about the new meldonium to skaters, just young skaters telling them what drugs to go on. Cannot make that up, okay? How brazen it is.
Yeah.
Don't know if the drug banned, not banned, but they say it openly to people. Incredible.
You can take the coach out of Russia.
Okay. Like,
okay.
Like,
I mean, again, well, whatever. We've talked it through. We've talked that topic to death, and it remains. It remains.
You keep, Jonathan.
Exactly.
All right.
It's so true. It's so true.
And blah, Aliona, TJ, Hot Sergey.
You lay with dogs, you're gonna get fleas.
Exactly. Yeah. Incredible, right?
Yeah. Or off-brand meldonium.
It's so funny where Delilah was in the house. People had feelings about it.
Yeah, I bet.
A lot of like, it's funny how people that are like very.
Who was she there for?
The Crawfords. They're representing Sweden.
Oh.
Jessica and Josh are now representing Switzerland. So, by the way, Josh Santillan, he had a maroon costume that looked like it was like chest and Brian Johnson ass pants. It was, listen.
Well, I'll have to go back and watch. I didn't watch them.
And a new look for them. I was like, okay, Jessica, she has got her act together. She knows. Go. Okay.
You go, Jessica. Okay.
You go. It's the girl who knows what is up. All right.
Amazing.
She's been paying attention. What did you think, Danny? And
yeah, I just feel like the result alone sort of, it was kind of how I feel about like some of these like Mervyn pairings, like when the statement is made pretty early that there's going to be a limited cap or a ceiling on how far this can go. I wonder if I were the athlete, I don't know how I would take that and how much I would let it influence my decision to continue or not.
you know, he does look better than he's ever looked physically. I know that he's working with the trainer that Alexa and Chris used when they moved to California. You can just see, I mean, the twist he's now doing and the lifts. I mean, it's pure power, and he still has his skating skills. The shirt that he wore in the short program universally panned in person. That doesn't mean I don't like you as a skater, Danny O'Shea. It just means that I think that shirt is hideous. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite color. Okay.
Yeah.
You look hot. It doesn't make you look young. It doesn't make you look attractive.
And he's all those things.
Wear a black muscle tee. I mean, wear a black short sleeve Mervyn Tran original. We'll get behind you skating to Taylor Swift. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think
the
jumps, the throw landed on 2 feet.
It just seemed that the message was clear. Like, thanks, no thanks from
the really interesting thing was, you know, Audrey and Misha have been, you know, kind of the number 4 team in the US.
Yeah, I kind of anticipated they would at least be number 4 here, maybe making a run of 3, but
then seeing them next to Emily and Spencer, who they do train with, just the overall skating quality of Emily and Spencer, when you see it in person, there was a big difference there. And who knows if it's just mileage or time together or what clicked, but and not knowing the situation of the training, if there was an injury or what, but they just looked so much more confident and so much crisper here. So
interesting. Yeah.
It was definitely noted. All right, what'd you think of the ladies?
Yeah, I was like, Dave, I'm dying to get to the ladies because, again, as we know, when you see something in person, it changes so much perception on speed and ice coverage and all these sorts of things.
Oh, I have one.
Yes.
So during the dance event, there was a lot of comments about that the caller not giving anyone their key points in the rhythm dance. You know, she was a real tough bee, I think. Kristen Frazier, Lukanen. Just saying, you know. I said, Igor, I heard it was a very tough caller in the ice.
Tough caller.
It was a fair caller. He goes,
well, yeah, that's the thing. As long as it's consistent, that was the thing with someone like a Shinamano. You're like, you can't say he pinpointed one athlete. It was all the athletes. Yeah.
She was true to herself. This is how she is every day, you know.
Amazing.
We work on those spin positions together all the time,
so that you get your points.
Those brackets, that arm has to go down and through. All right, those key points, you know, they didn't get them. All right.
Yeah, clearly
they didn't get them.
Yeah, sorry.
High level coach, Olympic champion coach, who didn't like Kristen's calls that were accurate at a competition that this coach wasn't even at, and he's calling Igor at 3 a.m. to complain. Incredible.
Yeah,
right?
Just no boundaries, none at all.
Now,
try to help me remember.
Igor goes about Green and Parsons. Dave, this was not skating. This was art. He was so into their program.
Well, I'm into them as a team. I mean, the age gap isn't my favorite, but I am. I've always been into his
age gap. They've been together years now. She's like,
I know. Well,
like dog years. These people age. You know, you're like, how old are they? You know, isn't it like skating years? I'm sorry, but like skating years seem like they last forever, right?
Yeah, like, sometimes it feels that way, Dave.
I have to say, the Olympics with Simone and everyone making her situation about themselves on the internet, that was at least 5 months, right?
Right, exactly.
You know who I don't miss at all? Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's like, it's not even her.
No, it's never been her
But it's
problem.
the brand
Yeah.
around her, and it's the hype around her. Oh, honey, we have moved on from the Summer Olympics. Like,
Yeah.
finish these. Like, bye, girl.
We're out. Yeah.
Terry is in the house. It is time for the Winter
Yeah.
Olympics. All right.
Now,
Yeah.
speaking of the Olympics, as we're talking about like major statements, I felt were being made this weekend, both here and in Japan. And I thought, you compared to where Alysa was at this point last year in the season and how far she developed and where she looks right now. And then you look at someone like Mariah Bell, and I was like, oh, done. We don't even have to pretend to talk about it anymore. Like, it seems to me as a viewer on the outside, I was like, Mariah just like crossed her name off completely from that Olympic selection committee.
I mean, like, you think she's done?
If I'm on the Olympic committee and I'm starting to watch for all of this sort of stuff, Mariah Bell, between the program content, the way she delivered, and just the overall experience compared to an Alysa, I was like, Alyssa's going up, Mariah's crashing down, and the material is a total miss in both programs. I couldn't be farther from a miss. Out. To me, she's out of the conversation.
And Adam was talking to some of my friends. And obviously he's been gone, but he's aware that the program is missed. I think that they'll scrap both programs.
They have to. They're both total misses.
If I were a betting man, they will go back to Hallelujah and the British Short. Because these programs were basically...
They were total duds.
Both of them were. And I'm wondering... Did she peak 2 years ago, which I think she now has to probably think, which is very similar to Ashley, similar to like Jenny Kirk, similar, right? When you peak right in the middle of a cycle. Or I think she's going to struggle for the next like 2 months based on where she is now. But that doesn't mean that she's out of it for good. Mariah still has a body of work, whether or not she craps this Grand Prix or not, right? Like if this, it could be.
But to me, the body of work conversation has to be time relevant. So like same thing when people thought like,
because she's still Mariah Bell, right? Like she's still been around for a long time to where we at least know what we could get from her, right? Hear me out.
Okay.
Both programs, she's given you third-rate Ashley Wagner in the short program. I'm sorry, it's just awful. Okay.
And Ashley's program was already second rate. So it's like
I was watching her do the free and I'm like, oh my God, she has the energy of like Roz Sumner's year 15 on Stars on Ice, but at least Roz gave the emotion every night. She might be doing a single axel to Frank Sinatra, but she is bringing that energy. And Mariah wasn't.
No.
Joni Mitchell, Both Sides Now, is so sleepy. And it's a beautiful piece of music. But the edit wasn't enhanced. The dress color, I mean, she's wearing last year's dress, but it was drab last year. The sleepy music with the sleepy color. Oh my God. And
the sleepy performance, that's the thing. It's like, could Joni Mitchell work? You bet it could, but it could if it resonated within her. And it's clear that both of these things were assigned to her and she's going through the motions. They don't actually touch her.
What did you say to Josh about why you thought Eteri wasn't going to be at this competition? What did you bring? Because I thought that this was a really clear thing here.
Well, to me, I thought she wouldn't have, I mean, that trip,
that it was
like from Moscow to Boston, that it was not worth her time and
what
that effort.
What was Mariah Bell doing here? Why was she at this competition?
To me, Mariah Bell needed to come here and lay down to solidify her spot on that Olympic team.
And Nebelhorn is for the taking, right?
Of course, yeah.
And it was a showdown with Nebelhorn between Alysa, Amber, and Mariah.
I am not giving that to Mariah.
Right? Who wasn't here?
Brady, you mean, because she withdrew?
Raphael.
Oh, I see.
What does that tell you about what he thinks about her shot?
Right. If Nathan had decided to do a test run at Cranberry,
he would be here.
He would have shown. Yeah.
If Mariah were doing, I think if Mariah were going to lay down like a performance that was going to get her to Nebelhorn, I think we would have seen Raphael.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can say You could look at that and put that on Mariah or Rafael, saying he is not being a supportive coach, or you could say that she's flat out not in a position to make it, right? Like you kind of have to look at, you kind of.
Right now, if I put myself on that selection committee, she's right now, she's
But
a
what did
goner.
I say? Lori Parker watched every practice. The other top judges from the US, they were all there watching the practice on Friday night.
Right. It means he doesn't think she's in the running anyway.
That's what that communicates.
Yeah.
And they watched every skater. They were
Right.
every skater.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just making a decision at nationals at the end of the year.
Right.
But already Mariah Bell shows up. Yes, Adam's there. We all love Adam. But you know that if Nathan were competing, that Rafael would be there.
Right.
And she's competing and he's not. And then she makes mistakes in practice. And your perception just goes, well.
It starts to become classic Mariah. That's what the narrative becomes. Now it's sort of like what we expect, where for a while that was not what we expected from Mariah, but it is now.
But you know what was worse? And I know that she pulled out with an injury, although she was at the practice that morning. Amber Glenn's performance here, and maybe she was injured before she came here, and but just looking at the perception of how she performed and what, it just looked like she was not ready. And maybe it's because of an injury, whatever. One, to throw the because she threw everything in that short program, but it didn't look like she was ready to make her first pancake at a competition against Mariah Bell and Alysa Liu and Young Yu.
Right.
With Neville Horn on the line and go for everything and do the triple. It just wasn't consistent in practice. We would see the triple, then we would see her turn out of it. We would see her try the axel. I mean, kudos to her for going for everything, but I think another competition prior to this would have been beneficial for her. And we don't know with her leg what exactly happened. Apparently during the practice, she turned to Peter and said, I can't do this, and I think that had a problem, her leg had a problem. So, but if you're then choosing the Olympic team, and with all due respect to Amber, who I hope gets better and performs well,
she's out right now too.
It communicates same old Amber.
Right. It communicates unreliable. And you know who showed up and doesn't, in all of her journey, growth this, coach change that, yes, triple axel, no triple axel, yes, quad, no quad. The one who has been pretty quiet about it all has been Alysa. She just kept her nose down, kept doing the work. And she showed up here, and I thought this is exactly what she needed to do right now.
It did. And I'm of two minds about Alysa. One hand, she frickin' delivered. Reliable as all hell.
When everyone else didn't.
I would send her to Neville Horn.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that she will earn the spot for the US, no problem.
Right.
Earn the third spot. Likely go to the Olympics as number 3 right now.
Right now.
Ice coverage is piss poor in person.
Mm-hmm. Slow. Was she faster at all?
Than she was 2 years ago.
Than she was, which is all we can ask of her, quite frankly.
But compared to the other top ladies, when she's on the ice with Gracie and Amber, it's really glaring.
I know, but they're not going to be at the Olympics.
Yeah, but there are going to be other girls,
right?
Maybe even better.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, is that I think that skating, not just skating fans, the skating public, because I was having a talk with someone about the Jason Brown situation, because he's had a broken foot and everything going on with that, and how strong some of the guys here looked and how solidified those spots are versus should they be, and what I think that people tend to live in the past, right? We're talking about people living in 2019. And I think for the ladies, yes, Karen Chen got the third spot for the US. But thinking about her as the US number 1, I think is a mistake. Okay. Because Karen Chen did lay it down in the free skate, but with content that would not place in the advanced novice division in Russia. And yes, she had gorgeous spins and gorgeous components and everything, but the actual jumps that she did, would not be relevant in Russia. And that's not like, that's just
reality. Also the reality is the 3 Russians were ahead of her. There were no more novice Russians for her to compete against. So she's just competing against that second tier.
But what are the chances that Japan is going to show up looking a hot mess again at the Olympics, or that Korea is going to be a hot mess? I think that they're going to be prepared for this season because COVID's over. So
I think the US stands to make a dismal showing in the ladies field. It's just within America, which 3 will be sent.
I'm not saying that I don't think Karen can do well. I'm just saying that the competition is going to be very different, right? I think that the competition is going to be much stiffer this season. And I think that the discussion about Karen is almost like close to the medals, our savior, the second, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This was not a strong field at the World Championships. It was an ugly, 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 ugly competition, one that I hope to never have to rewatch. It was so right? There were maybe 3 or 4 programs. Karen, Austrian girl, like,
oh my God, Austrian. Yeah.
Oh, she's really Austrian.
Olga Markina?
Yeah, she's from Austria, right? The girl, I thought the girl from Austria was Austrian.
No, I think the girl from Austria.
She was in a red dress and she did a nice skate, and everyone else was freaking awful. Okay.
It's true though.
At the World Championships. It was not the field. Brady's out with, was out with an injury. You start to think like, if these Olympics are postponed a year, how many of these skaters are hanging on by a thread and will have a Simone situation where they're not where they were, or maybe a Morgan Hurd situation where they don't make it.
Right.
You start looking at like Karen, Brady, like the ice dance teams in the US, like who's hanging on by, this becomes a very different situation. So,
well, and again, I think when people are referring to Karen being 4th at Worlds, to me, that just solidified that she beat Brady, or was Mariah would not have been 4th. Amber would not have been 4th. Alysa would not have been 4th.
Karen skates like she did last year. She's going to the Olympics. I'm sending her to the Olympics.
I think it's about getting on the team, not being relevant once you're there. Yeah. I
just wanted to put that discussion because things get overblown when we don't see skating for months on it.
Right. Of course.
Right? So like, let's temper things, right? They still have to compete this season. But yeah, for the US, I think.
What did you make of Alyssa's triple axel attempt?
Jonathan, from that speed, there's no way that thing is going to be cleanly good.
But that's the speed she always went into it with. That's what always blows my mind.
She's taller now. She's older now, 2 years older. She was a child doing something that was cheated on the front and on the back, and they were giving her credit for it. And was it really worth it?
Right. Yeah.
Because we wanted buzz against the Russians, but the technique was shit then, and now she's with an adult body trying to clean it up.
Right.
And the article's going to be like, what happened to her triple axel? Well, she never freaking had a clean one, right? Like,
yeah. Compare that. It was really interesting to see Yang Yu's back-to-back attempts in the free.
She skated better in practice than she did in competition. She's gorgeous in person, skater. She was not known for her flow. Before that, not known for her artistic mark. She's a very pretty skater. I thought she was going to run away with this event, in a way that was not.
She could have, but didn't. Yeah.
Also, skating to Les Miserables when it's Yuna Kim's music.
I know.
And then in the section where she's marching, like, what? It was a cringe. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say, Tammy prepares those girls. And an Asian mom seems to love Tammy. Like, does she have like the national team of Asian America, or is it just me?
Right.
Like, forever and always. Maybe it's because of she was in California, but it's so funny to me that like how Tammy seems
to be a magnet. Yeah.
They respect her work ethic. Okay.
Yeah, I guess. And the second triple axel attempt was quite lovely in the free. It was really remarkable to see her refocus and do that.
Listen, Tammy is a survivor. She's not coaching Vincent Zhou this week. She'll be coaching him next. She's not worried.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. It was
someone goes, there's an Asian mother yelling at Tom Z. And I was like, who could that be? You know, like,
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah.
I wonder, right?
It was interesting because in addition to this sort of like Olympic sort of bid that people were making in some ways here, I also thought there was that Skate America throwdown going on here.
Between 3 or 4 people.
Ms. Shin, I mean, especially in the short program.
It was between Audrey Shin,
Gabby
Izzo, Paige Rydberg, and Sierra Veneta. Very interesting because Sierra did well. Sierra was interesting in practice. You know, she's got a little bit of the Amber Corwin triple toe going on, but Sierra warmed up, nailing every triple in practice. Went for her short program, hand down, kind of botched every jumping pass, and then botching things after. But before that, you were like, maybe she's going to get Skate America. Gabby Izzo is a fighter like all hell, and we've seen in the other 2 that she nailed, you know, the previous 2 competitions. We didn't think that she was going to be necessarily the one that they would favor. And then she really had a rough short program here. And I don't know if she got hurt or what happened, but you know, she withdrew after the short program, and she's a fighter. So it was surprising that she didn't go to the free. The prediction was that she was going to nail the free skate. Shin is interesting. Again, she's got the Tammy skating skills going on, where classier than everyone else. She's got Moonlight Sonata, which has the frickin' voiceover in the middle.
And the most offensive key change that doesn't exist in it, and then it ends with a cello. Like the whole thing was offensive.
So Drew said that they're like letters that either Beethoven wrote to someone or someone wrote to Beethoven that are based, that the piece was actually based on. Listen.
I don't want program notes. I don't want to have to read program notes.
Getting program notes. We don't have that much time to be checking out what's happening. I'm wondering, what the hell are you doing to Moonlight Sonata?
If you have to explain it, it didn't work.
Well, that's the same thing with Alysa. Apparently she's supposed to be a crane and something's going on in her hair, and people are like,
well, I wondered, is this in the short or the long?
Long. What was that?
Yeah. I didn't quite. Oh, for me, I had to look up a little bit again about the short, because I didn't really follow. It's Don Quixote, but then she was doing what looked like a bird wave on one of the spread eagles, and it almost looked comical. I had to like.
Short, that's the crane. Listen,
the short is the Don Quixote. Like, so.
No. Listen, both programs, Jonathan.
Better
Could
than
have been the same shit, different day. Okay.
Yeah, but that sameness is more elevated than it's ever been for her in the past. I'm being serious. Like, I mean,
Paige Rydberg with the Christian rock felt a little Abby Lee to me.
Correct. Lyrical contemporary.
Yes.
Yes.
I felt like Maddie was going to come out at the senior solo with like Kaylani and Kendall and Paige. I mean, like it just,
that's right.
It didn't feel Olympic to me. However, I believe that if Ashley Kane is going to be in the hospital for any longer, we could stick Paige Rydberg in the pairs with Timothy, and I don't think anyone would know the difference. I mean, they
amazing. Okay.
Right? I mean, I think she could get the job done. I have to tell you about Audrey Shin. I know they're trying to clean up her leg wrap and her jump rotations. She jumped right in front of me. On the video, you can see it clear as day. I am not making this shit up. I was watching because, you know, there are other mothers that have maybe competed against her for years that have said that, you know, the toe, the sow, and the double axel are all that she can do cleanly.
Okay.
I believe that there might be an Asian Hughes sister. I am just saying that there might be more that we know about the family. I'm not disparaging anyone. I saw what I saw, okay?
That's really funny. That's a funny way to put that.
If my jump is under-rotated, I fall on my ass on the ice. You see a Hughes sister or Audrey Shin, they have this uncanny ability to finish the rotation on the ice and slide through like it was candy.
Perfect. Yeah.
You take shit and you turn it into candy. That is what she says about any jump landing, right?
Okay.
Her flip and Lutz, cheated as all hell, landed, you would think clean. Flow out, like,
And that bake sell goes a long way.
and they'll say, give her a couple weeks, they'll be clean.
Yeah.
Hughes sister.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm sending the Hughes sister to Skate America because they're going to deliver. Okay.
I don't see how after this you couldn't. I mean, she definitely earned it.
There were people that were shading her performance at Glacier. She's coming off of an injury. She delivered. I mean, is Tammy Gamble not the Toyota Corolla of figure skating? I mean, those girls, okay? It's reliable. It's steady. It's not a luxury car, but you know what? It gets.
But it's got. I think it booked her a ticket to Vegas. That's what I think it did.
It did.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So, yeah. How about the Christian contemporary rock? Oh, the other thing is, there was the Cranberry Cup is the international, whatever. The Open was the other field where we saw all the national competitors. The competitors that were actually in there, Maxine Batista, who has been in the mix before, and Sonia Hilberg, who does all of her own choreography. She's worked with Rokin in the past. They did free skates that were so much better than so many of the girls that we actually saw in person. And I know that people shade Brady for not being entertaining. I think it's the coach. I think we really need to look at Denise Myers. Why do all of her skaters skate like they've had the soul sucked out of them like a freaking vacuum? I mean, Isabel Intezone, the other one that was skating last year and then not here. We see Finley Hawk, who couldn't rotate a triple, but she fought like hell. But they give Finley Hawk Desert Rose.
I gotcha. Well, but I was also
woman gave Brady Snell Cinderella. I'm just saying, maybe why was Maxine Batista in the Open event and Finley Hawk in the international? It made not a lick of sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is some USFS political shenanigans if I have ever seen it. It was ridiculous. All right.
Yeah.
They were so much better. Maxine was doing these like big Arashev triples. Granted, Alex wasn't there, so she looked so relaxed, happy. No one was yelling at her. She was
it was a vacation. Yeah.
Yeah. She looked like she was skating in a show. Like it was
amazing.
And Hilberg was fantastic too, I thought. Really.
Okay.
Music overly dark with no change. Like I think if you're going to be dark for part of the program, it should have some lightness or sweetness to it. It was just like dark. But anyway, the men. Let's get into it. Okay. Vincent Zhou did the Vincent music that you loved from Piper and Paul. It was incredible in the short.
It really was. I have to say, again, people came here to make statements. A lot of people missed the opportunity to make the statement, withdrew when they couldn't make the statement they wanted. Some people came out ahead. Some people came out behind. He came out like gangbusters. Like there is a no question. There is zero question in my mind.
Yeah.
That he should be sent.
That free is boring as shit. It's complete.
Yeah, but I get
zero edges and zero like entertainment.
Yeah, but he's not alone in the men's field with that. Yes, we have that upper cream of the crop, you know what I mean? That we're just getting so spoiled with the Japanese men and Kolyada and some of these kinds of guys. But in general, it'll do it. It'll do the job.
Quads, in a short program, he rotates the quads more. As he gets tired in the free, they tend to rotation. Interesting thing was that he had a terrible warm-up. And he was even attempting jumps right before he skated, before they called his name. And they were a mess too. The lights went on and he delivered. I think the USF has forgiven him. I think he will go to Nebelhorn.
I think so.
And praying he does not post on Facebook or post on Instagram, I think he could secure a spot for the US.
Yeah.
The short was lovely. The free, complete snooze.
But we'll get the job done. We'll get him his ticket. We'll get him his ticket there. And
with Tammy, he's no Toyota Corolla. He's like, I don't know, Jeep Metro. I don't know at this point. But he's a rental car.
But he might get you there. Yeah, he's a Chevy Aveo or similar. Yeah, okay.
But the free program was all about Jimmy Ma. people have said a lot of stuff about Jimmy Ma. That free was good.
Well, he's one of the few, like how you were talking about the ladies, for instance, like so few of them seem to be real performers. This is a guy, I believe, that if he was not skating and was not doing another sort of athletic endeavor, you could put him on a stage. He'd be fine. I cannot say that for like a Vincent. But for Jimmy, he literally emanates performer energy. And that can't be taught.
Weren't my favorite, although the anime fans in my row were losing their minds at his free program.
Great.
My old ass, but
yeah, same.
Just.
But also the judges. That's But you could still. Did you still enjoy it?
Well, his jumps were incredible. So yes, but I missed some Jimmy action. I was like, he's giving us Swan Lake with none of the sass or the flavor,
right?
But it was good. Naumov was really impressive.
Really impressive, but it was interesting, sort of like you were just saying about some.
The program was
heavy. It was
Russian trash on a platter.
Yeah.
There was the stripped costume. It had like a heartbeat action going on. I mean, it was a throwback to like 2008 Russia mega like the Kolya Morozov and Hackensack era. Like it was giving you all the trash, all the power, all the tackiness that like we really appreciate. Oh my God. He's not known for training a free program.
Okay.
It looks like he's done it. It looks like he woke up, trained that free program, and delivered. And the point where you start to think, who's the US going to have after Nathan, Vincent,
Jason?
If he can keep training his free program, maybe once a week, I think he is in it. Okay. Because that boy was really good.
Yeah.
Now, tomorrow, I talked to Todd. He's had boot problems. I think they felt behind the curve. I mean, when Todd Eldridge's boy is crapping out on the spins, that is crime. Okay.
Well, you know what changed it for me? And it was a real indicator, because we talk about like the coach's perception, like you're saying, Raf didn't show for Mariah and Eteri did show for Tarasova and Morozov. I thought it was interesting when you... Oh, of course he did, because he's classy. And I used to like him more when I thought he was left-handed, but then he just told me he jumps left-handed, but he isn't left-handed. But when you said they were setting their sights for the next cycle, I sort of thought, okay, they think it's not really.
I don't think that they think it's not this. Well, look, they know what they're up against. The USFS has invested how much into these three men? To the point where we don't have a fourth viable option. All right. It's been these three men. Tomoki, not ready. And he did better here, but not ready. And how many times have we seen Chaplin from him? I mean, it's like
we're
more
again,
than
I think
that team. Okay. Like, but Yaro in the short, he added more. It worked in person. It freaking worked. It had energy to it, to the point where he looked so winded in the free program.
I know that was a tough watch. It was a tough watch. This one.
His quad toe not present here.
Right.
But he overall, in the short at least, is becoming a more consistent skater. He had a bad free for him, but not a bomb like we saw previous in his career. So I think that Todd is doing his job. I think we will see how he is going to fare. He's supposed to go to a senior B, I think in Italy, and then we'll see him maybe skate America. You know, like should we see him? I think we're going to see how he's improving. But I think at least if you start to look at who could go to the Worlds in 2023 or 2022, should Nathan win gold and maybe not go to Worlds or whatever? You know, you start to look at who's in the future, and I think that he is someone like Naumov, like Ilya Malinin, who you start to see, okay, maybe we have a couple of boys to like.
And people that could have been those guys continually remind us why they are not those guys.
Hamden, no. Tomoki.
Dorgashev, Tomoki. They just keep putting themselves further down on that list. So
two favorites, Donovan Carrillo in person, the short. Charming.
The short was great. Yeah.
He has a bit of a loose air position. on his jumps in the free.
Well, I don't recall a quad attempt from him in the short before. Is that new?
I am attempting that quad at the Eteri camp. Remember, he was at the Eteri camp that
Right.
Tattoo was at, right?
So wait, hold on. Okay.
Anna will cut you. She's gonna write a 3-page Facebook post about it. John.
Amazing. Okay.
Anna CC will come for you. Okay.
Okay.
I think he had just star quality and energy. And then the other
What's that performer thing? Just a performer.
Chris Kaluza's had a tough time. You know, they're going for one spot in the Philippines, the same way one spot Israel, right? So it's those two guys competing against each other. Michael Martinez training with Morozov. You know, we've seen him do a triple axel, but we haven't seen him compete yet. Chris Kaluza had a really rough short program. Free program, he performed extremely well for himself. And it was so funny because he's nailing the program, right? Like he is nailing it. And like you could like see someone like start to believe in themselves and like coming alive. And he's like trips and almost falls, but saves it on the choreographic step. And it was almost like everyone was like, oh my God, you know, like
you're right there. That's funny.
So yeah, it was, but he did a good job. It was, you know, a new person. How about Japan? The ladies we saw at summer competition.
Dave. Yeah. I have a Sophie's choice and I have visual aids for it. And they are these. This is my Japanese Sophie's choice because I want both of these free skates in that Olympics, and I just don't see how it's possible.
All right, who is on your team based on what we saw?
Kaori.
Kaori is
the mainstay. I started thinking to myself, what if Rika's more in danger than I thought?
Well, I think Rika is very much in danger.
Wakaba with the solid triple axel attempt, pretty darn close, energetic, pretty good. I think she doubled the loop or something like that, but the rest was pretty clean. I don't know. I'm a big fan. I'm always rooting for her. And Satoko, the minute she shows any sign that she might be able to do some jumps, I'm like, give her the gold. I mean, the Tosca here, it was nice to see. This was the effort you wish you could have seen at Worlds. It still was obviously not without errors, but it happened when after Worlds, I was like, I don't know what's possible here anymore, but I did not expect it to go so well. And then my Miyahara, never to be counted out. She can spin so fast in the air, that rotational position. I mean, she comes out she can crank out a combo here and there. It's actually Rika is as much a question mark now.
I thought Rino was so good here. In the short program.
Yeah.
If the free can be as good as the short, Satoko and Rika may be in trouble. Granted, Rika has time and a career, and trusting Wakaba is, you know.
But I am trusting her more and more. Like I kind of thought intellectually my dilemma was going to be, are they going to put on Satoko or are they going to put Wakaba on?
You bet your Christmas stocking that Wakaba is going to deliver at Japanese nationals. Jonathan?
I hope you're right. Wait. I really do.
Wait. If you know that 3 of those bougie ass vases that you love, are in that Christmas stocking, and you have to choose between Wakaba and Rika Kihira, based on what you know now, what are you doing?
I'm choosing Wakaba.
Okay.
You know why? Because Rika she has had too many like dumbfoundingly troubling performances. Wakaba, I don't know. She's got a job to do on the Grand Prix for sure, but Rika's really floundered. That body of work, yes, of course, it's amazing, and she's done all these amazing things, but it has been a long time since it's been reliable. I don't know.
And as we were watching Alysa Liu skate, I said, you know, Jonathan loves to bring up when he saw Rika in person, and he couldn't believe how slow she was.
I know.
And the lack of ice cover, and she was slow. You know, Dave, I went to that 4 continents, and Rika was slow. She was slow.
Well, same thing though. When I saw Alysa in person, I was like, oh, that's what they mean. Yeah. It's like you kind of see it on TV. You're like, yeah, it seems smaller. But then in person, it's undeniable. It's undeniable.
I think that Wakaba skates like, you know, 2/3
Huge.
to the Lion King
Fast.
when it's dark and the beasts are coming and we're running and like, I mean, watching that love in the second half, I'm like, yes. Okay.
Her team perfectly emotionally manipulated that music cut. Just tears. She nails that at an Olympics or at a world. It is designed to make you cry and have a moment. And then that release of joy at the end with the dun, 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 dun. I mean, it could be such a moment.
Such a moment.
I want it to be such a moment because I really do root for her. But of course, I root for Satoko.
Can we fake Satoko for 6 more months? Can we fake that she can jump? Can we Stevie Wonder the collar? Like, what do we have to do? Like,
but someone's going to get the axe, and the question is who? I mean, right now I would say Rika because Kaori is so exciting. But again, Satoko.
Wait. There are 5 beautiful girls in front of me, and only 3 of you will be in the running to beat Japan's next
Olympic team. Yeah. You too could finish 4, 5, 6 at the Olympics. Yeah.
Kaori Wakaba Rino is, I think, the ideal team at this point. Granted, for ratings, they want Satoko.
Wait, say the team again.
I think Mia Hamada's girl, Rino, right? Wakaba and Kaori. That's who I think is the top 3.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Rika has that these girls don't.
Yeah. Quite honestly. Yeah. And all these girls have Lutzas. Well, save Satoko sometimes. But I mean, I'm being serious. Like Rika has really fallen behind here. But it's interesting. You never know what they're going to do with that Miyahara. She placed above Wakaba here. I know, and we're just gonna skirt right past it. But like, you never know. And she was given Grand Prix assignments, I believe. Yeah. So this will be an interesting thing to play out. They have a very perplexing decision ahead of them. That's in many ways more interesting because of the talent level than the discussion in the United States. But the one in the United States could also go a number of ways. Although after this weekend, I feel the amount of ways it could go lessened.
The US, I mean, God bless our Olympic. It seemed so much better 6 weeks ago.
I know. Now, what would you say to the response that like, well, it's only August? But this is when the stage is set. We have seen many Olympic scenes start to play out now.
This is when you get your training done. I'm more interested in seeing which girl from Cyprus is going to come out on top. I mean, they were both fantastic, okay, in person. And oh, by the way, honorable mention to the most WTF moment in all of skating. Keilani Crane was the talk of the event. Jonathan.
Why? The short? I liked the short.
No, Jonathan. You have the nicest white girl from Australia. And I'm just going to say it so that Twitter doesn't say it to the Olympics, during the Olympics, because she probably doesn't know. A white girl doing Gangsta's Paradise. I don't know if it's allowed. My 4th grade self loves it. My adult self goes,
maybe rethink that. Maybe try the Weird Al Yankovic Amish Paradise.
I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it to be like, you don't want to be in the middle of a Twitter firestorm, but my 4th grade gay self loves it. Okay.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm seeing the commercial of the high school teacher. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Makes you wonder what Brooklyn Hahn is going to throw down. Jonathan, maybe I'm still Jenny from the block.
Okay.
Amazing. So what was your moment of Cranberry being there live, seeing all this jazz?
Honestly, Well, first of all, Yarrow like laying on the ice at the end of a short program, and it'd be like, boy, you're tired after the short program. What are you going to do in the free? And then we saw before he did the hound dog, I was like, I don't know if he can get those Elvis grooves together, you know.
He can't, yeah, muster up his canine strength.
Sergey for the new Meldeneum, because I don't know what we're doing. But honestly, I was walking to get coffee. Keilani is skating. And when you're at a skating event and you hear Gangsta's Paradise, you are like, I thought I haven't been drunk in 3.5 years. Okay, like
however, I'm questioning that right now. Yeah.
How about you? What was your moment of the week, Jonathan Beyer?
Well, I have to say, I really enjoyed watching Satoko sort of even redeem herself from the world situation. I thought that was kind of like a nice moment. Yeah, I have to say, like, you know, Vincent isn't really my, what's the expression? Cup of tea. But I really applaud his commitment in showing up and delivering those programs. So good on you.
And thank you to Tammy Gamble for being the Toyota Corolla that we all rely on.
Yeah, exactly.
Year after year. Hold it in, sexy, everyone.